All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And had some interesting news here. Nothing too new, but definitely interesting. Just adding on to the news that the warnings that we've already been given out. Now, this is from ZeroHedge.com. This is the IMF chief. All right, and this is what they said. They said, harsh winter may spark social unrest in EU. All right, not UK, but EU. Okay, so not just the UK, the European Union, amid energy crisis. Okay, now, you also have another notification here. FedEx, which I did a video on that yesterday. It says FedEx cuts its sales forecast by $500 million as demand for packages tumbles. The CEO says the slowdown portends a global recession. Okay, and this is now more and more people are coming out. CEOs, presidents, people in quote unquote higher positions are coming out and openly telling you basically what's getting ready to happen. All right, what we're in the midst of, what's about to take place. Okay, so this isn't a guessing game. This isn't a if situation. This is a matter of time. All right, that we're seeing. So for people that are still in that that mindset of thinking that ain't nothing gonna happen and well, let's just hope for the best. You got to be realistic. All right, and when you look at things from a realistic standpoint, this thing isn't getting any better. All right, we haven't even stepped into it yet. Okay, so I'm gonna read a little bit of this article, and as always, I'll do my best to remember to leave the links to the articles in the description box, because there's another one. Now it says a number of countries in Europe may experience social unrest if the upcoming winter is harsh amid an economic crisis. The head of the IMF, or the International Monetary Fund, warned on Wednesday. All right. It says there is certainly fear of recession in some countries, or even if it is not recession, that it would feel like a recession this winter, said Kristalina Georgieva, managing director of the IMF. And if Mother Nature decides not to cooperate, and the winter is actually harsh, that could lead to some social unrest, she added. And I mean, they have a hand in so-called Mother Nature anyway. Okay, because they are able to slack it through their heart machine and other forms of technology. They're able to influence or create certain natural disasters. All right, make the winds colder, hard. They can manipulate the temperature. They can do all of those things. So it says here, attending the 2022 Mitchell Camdesis Central Banking Lecture held in Washington, D.C., Georgieva pointed out that Europe is directly affected by Russia's attack on Ukraine, saying the war has led to horrible economic consequences and added fuel to fears of recession in some countries. But whose fault really is that? Are you not the ones who are, and the next article is going to highlight it, you're the ones who are making this whole coalition against Russia economically, and it's backfiring on you. If when Russia went into Ukraine, if you didn't jump on the bandwagon and say, yeah, let's throw some sanctions here, let's block Russia's imports of energy, what do you think is going to happen? It says, Georgieva said the current situation meant that the European Central Bank needed to be mindful of the necessity to keep the economy going while also remaining persistent in fighting broad-based inflation. Inflation is stubborn. It is more broad-based than we thought it would be, Georgieva said. And what it meant is we need central bankers to be as stubborn in fighting it as inflation has demonstrably been. It says Georgieva noted at the event that the global economy had two consecutive shocks. The Crown Royal, no, the Crown Vic Royal, um, where we at? Slovakia, yeah. The Crown Royal and Russia's attack on Ukraine, which contributed to surging prices and a cost of living crisis. The disruptions in the flows of Russian gas to Europe remain the primary cause of Europe's current energy crisis. Now, the disruption of flows of Russia's gas to Europe. Well, how is that? Is Russia's gas to Europe? How is that flow being disrupted? Are people not? Are you people not throwing sanctions? And like I said, I'll read in the next article. It says here the continent has rallied up upon cheap Russian energies. Relied upon cheap Russian energy for 2 years or for years to power factories, generate electricity, and heat homes. In a blog, the IMF warned that higher oil prices were driving up all consumer prices, which would result in a wage price spiral if these second order effects persisted. Central bankers should respond firmly, the agency of the United Nations stressed. When overall inflation is already high as it is now, wages tend to increase in response to an oil price shock, the IMF said, citing a study of 39 European countries. The study revealed that people were more likely to react to price increases when high inflation was visibly eroding living standards. It said, noting that the larger the second round effects, the greater the risk of a sustained wage price spiral. So pretty much, people are not having it. You know, they're seeing the they're seeing the effects. They're seeing the effects of inflation upon the economy, upon their cost of living, everything going up. People are gonna react. People are gonna react, and they're already warning you. It says here, if large and sustained oil price shocks could fuel persistent rises in inflation and inflation expectations, which should be countered by a monetary policy response, the IMF said, noting that people tended to seek higher compensation for oil price rises. Exactly, right? Because as prices go up, the wage gap, right? The gap between your pay versus how much you're spending to survive, it gets wider and wider. And typically people would expect it to be at least proportional. If inflation is going up, their wages got to go up to try and match and accommodate for it. So it says, however, even in a high inflation environment, wages stabilized after a year rather than continuing to rise at a steady clip, it said. To the extent that central banks remain adequately vigilant, current high inflation could still cause higher compensation for the cost of living than usual, but need to morph into a sustained increase in inflation. Now, like I said, the next article here is interesting because the title is also from Zero Hedge, but the title is "No Bailout Coming." U.S. energy producers send ominous warning to Europe. You hear that? No bailout coming, so don't expect any bailout. It says the threat of power rationing across Europe persists even after EU officials held an emergency meeting last week to stave off the impending winter energy crisis. EU countries have increasingly relied on US energy imports. Those shale bosses warned the ability to boost oil and gas supplies would be challenging. It's not like the US can pump a bunch more. Our production is what it is. Vil van Loo, head of private equity group Quantum Energy Partners, one of the shale's most prominent investors, told Financial Times. There's no bailout coming, Van Lowe added. Not on the oil side, not on the gas side. And that's what they're telling Europe. But wait, you all pushed for them to join so that's the thing, right? You had Biden and the majority of the world leaders, especially from the US side, push for this coalition to ban, punish Russia for what they're doing in Ukraine and all of this stuff. And now that Europe is suffering for it, and the U.S. is going to suffer too, but now that Europe is suffering for it, they tell them, well, we're sorry, you know, this is our supply. We're not getting any more. We're not going to dig anymore. So you take it or leave it. As a matter of fact, you can't take it because we're not bringing no more. Don't expect no bailouts. So it goes on to read. It says here, um, Europe can thank the Democrats and the Biden administration for their war against crushing the U.S. energy industry that led to massive divestments across the sector, which crippled oil production growth and refining capacity and pressured/shamed the world into withdrawing any capital allocations to fossil fuels. Now I'm going to jump down here. It says Ben Dell, chief executive of private equity group uh, Kimmeridge Energy, said the shale industry's investors on Wall Street would not give their blessing to a big production increase, preferring a low production, high profit model. Investors generally don't want shale companies to pursue a growth model. The capital availability is extremely limited. Basically, as it'll go down more to explicitly tell you, um, they're not planning on digging out more and getting more. No, no, no. They're not planning on doing that. All right. What they're planning on doing is leaving their supply as it is now. Okay, which is going to affect people. Really, Europe if they're depending on the U.S. Um, let's see. So it says back to the U.S. shale patch where Scott Sheffield, CEO of Pioneer Natural Resources, explained significant production increases aren't coming online. We are not adding rigs, and I don't see anyone else adding rigs, said Sheffield, who runs one of the biggest oil producers in the U.S. He added that crude prices could rise above $120 a barrel this winter as supplies tighten. As it says here, a perfect storm of factors plagues Europe. The inability of U.S. shale to ramp up production because of Democrats' war on oil, Russia reducing energy exports, grid decarbonization, and EU's Russian oil embargoes. So all these factors are plaguing this place, and yet they thought it was a good idea to they thought it was a good idea to add on to that by blocking exports and so on and so forth, of oil from Russia. Now, I believe somewhere else in this article it mentioned something. Yeah, here it is. It says here, the problems don't end here. In 80 days, or on December 5th, the EU will embark on another suicide mission of banning seaborne imports of Russian crude. Then on February 5th, 2023, a ban on Russian petroleum product imports kicks in. These sanctions were enacted over the summer. However, piped imports of Russian crude and petroleum products will be exempt in some EU member countries like Hungary, Slovakia, and Czech Republic. And once again, and that's why he called it a suicide mission, because they are in essence doing this to themselves. Okay, it's not gonna end well. It's not gonna, especially not for the people, because the consumers are the ones that are really gonna feel this heavily. And as all these things go on, as the scriptures say, a precept that comes to mind is Revelation, the 17th chapter, and the 16th verse. And it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast. Now, The 10 horns is referring to the European Union, okay? And as it goes in, it says, which thou sawest upon the beast, okay, these shall hate the whore. Now, the beast is the whole power structure. All right, that's NATO, the EU, America, all of that together. That body of power that they formed, that's the beast. And the 10 horns are a part of that beast, right? The European Union is a part of that structure. So the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, which the whore is America, because America is what's riding the beast. America is what's leading, or spearheading, or at the forefront of this power structure. Okay, so these shall hate the whore, and make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. This is eating her flesh is not literal, it's metaphoric, but it means that they're going to destroy this place or help in the destruction of America through fire. And what kind of fire is that? There's going to be fire from nuclear missiles. So America's allies, the European Union, and even some of NATO's um some of the NATO countries are going to shoot missiles on America. Okay, during that time of World War III, the War of Armageddon. Okay, so as it goes on to read, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, for the Most High hath put it in their hearts to fulfill His will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God be fulfilled. So they're in agreement now for a period of time, all right, until the time that the Most High sets it to where they turn on each other, and they start shooting missiles on each other. Okay, because that's set to happen. That's a part of biblical prophecy, and these things are all steps that are leading up to it. There's prophetic lines being drawn between these different countries. Turkey is shifting more towards Russia. The U.S. and EU are basically trying to come against Turkey for that. You know, so hey, the prophecies are coming to life. And you got to keep your eyes peeled and your mind ready at all times. All right, thank you.
Oh shit, somebody go get rabbit
Uh,
already.
it's all right. It's all right. Did the sweeper come already? Do you know?
Well, I have a 15-minute more to wait anyway.
All right.
Should I park up or take
Yeah.
took it out?
It's all right. I'll go in. Yeah, thank you. Yep. So anyway, with that, I'm gonna end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Brachak Kudash. Until next time, Shalom.